Welcome to West Coast Business Solutions, your source for bookkeeping tips, tricks, and tutorials. Hopefully you will find our resources helpful and informative, and stop by often to find answers to your bookkeeping questions. Thank you for taking the time to view the Expense It worksheet video. This video will give you a quick overview of the Expense It template designed for recording expenses and producing the expense report for your accounting department. Okay, so I've designed a basic expense report template. This is just to give you an idea of the possibilities with Excel and doing your own customized worksheet. So this is the main page for entering your data. Here you would enter your name. So I'm just going to put my name, and the date today is June 9th. Okay, so at the top of the screen I have buttons for toggling between the different worksheets. So this is entering your expenses. There's one for printing your report and entering your tax rates and your default accounts. And this is just to let you know that these are the buttons to do that. Also, I've had the columns highlighted in dark gray where you can enter information. The rest of the columns with light gray are calculated fields, so you don't need to worry about those ones. So here, if your GST calculated is incorrect, you can override it to enter a different amount into your expense report. So basically we have here the tax tables. So it's got your GST, your PST, and exempt, and the rates for each of them. And then a tax description. So you can select GST included, both taxes included, just PST included, or exempt, and all of the figures are there to calculate and back out the taxes to get your proper expense amounts. The next table is your GL accounts table. So this basically has the account name, the account number, the default taxes that are associated with that GL account, and then it would populate the rate to be backed out of the total expenses to calculate the expense portion. So we'll go to the enter expenses table, and here we're just going to enter some materials. We're buying from Rona. It's $12.99, and the account is materials. And so here it's going to just populate the rest of the worksheet. So the account number is 6010, and the subtotal, if we take the $12.99 and remove both taxes, the subtotal is $11.60, and from that $11.60 it's calculating the GST as 58 cents. So the expense portion is $12.99 minus the 58 gives you $12.41 for materials. The next one I'm going to enter is gasoline. So we're going to do SO. We'll say $89.50 gasoline, and gasoline is only GST. So the gasoline account is 6090. The subtotal is $85.24. If we back out the GST, it's only GST included, and the GST calculated amount is $4.26. So the expense portion for the GST is $85.24. The next one I'm going to enter is the keg, and we'll say it's $249.99 for meals and entertainment. Now, this is where you're definitely going to need this GST override section, because in your restaurant there's several different taxes. There's a liquor tax, which is different than what they charge on the meal, and there's also no tax on tips. So your GST calculated amount will never be correct on these types of bills. So we'll just override that as $9.80. So here, instead of taking the calculated amount of $11.16, it's taking the 980. So your total less the 980 gives your expense portion of 240.19. So we'll say that this report is complete. At the bottom here, it gives your total that's due to the employee and your total GST paid. But if we go to the top here and we say print report, so we're on the print screen, and here we have a summary section. So the summary section is basically what your accounting department is going to use for entering your expenses. So the total expense payable to you is $352.48. The GST portion is $14.64, which has been retracted from the expense portion. And each of the expense accounts gives their total associated with the particular expense. And then also I've included the expense report details, which outlines each of the receipts, totals, GST expense account, and notes if necessary. So you would just print that for your department for issuing the expense check, and that's about it. So if you're interested in having a worksheet somewhat similar to this, or if you have a unique situation that you'd like me to help you out with, please visit westcoastbusinesssolutions.ca and have a great day. Thank you for visiting West Coast Business Solutions, your source for bookkeeping tips, tricks, and tutorials. If you have any bookkeeping questions that you would like answers for, feel free to leave a question in the comments section and we would be happy to help you out. If you found this video useful, please hit like and subscribe. Have a great day.